Mr. President, another thought about the American people. In the last day or two, I heard that you said something to the effect that the national budget should be like a household budget. Now, I'm not quite certain that you understand what an American budget looks like these days. Americans have prioritized their monthly expenditures. Let me give you an example of what they're doing now. They are covering their necessities, and their necessities are entirely different than they used to be, and the luxuries are defined in a completely different way. The necessities are food, clothing, and toiletries, and the luxuries can be things like new clothes, new shoes, a visit to the dentist, a visit to the hairdresser, vacations, dinner out, movies, jewelry. They've all become luxuries, no longer a necessity. These Americans happily feed their children healthy oatmeal for breakfast and would not consider having the federal government feed them a school breakfast. They watch when grocery carts full of extravagant food pass before them at a checkout stand and are paid for with food stamps, knowing full well that they will eat humbly, but they will pay for their own choices. These Americans not only watch Treasury options, they listen carefully to all of the costs that mount up every day to the Americans. The news is full of foolish governmental expenditures, and they feel powerless to stop them. Mr. President, do you know that these Americans actually count the cost of your frequent photo ops? I heard one disgruntled American speaking about a newsworthy trip that you made to a family's backyard. While I expect that your press team saw this as beneficial, it was clearly a disaster to most Americans. For the use of government employee time, Air Force One time, and our chief executive's time for an event that he could have handled with a computer from his office was unconscionable use of time, and clearly reveals a president totally out of touch both with our budget and with the national stress over governmental spending. Speaking of trips for photo ops, these same Americans who pay attention to Treasury options are also watching when the first family takes its lavish vacations, enjoys weekends off, or long hours at the golf course. They are appalled at the First Lady's abundance of paid staff and the numbers and types of trips that she is taking. While we would love to love our first family and wish them well, we are all too focused on the cost to the American people of these lavish excursions at a time when we may be carefully budgeting to go ourselves to a miniature golf game. Mr. President, these American people that you always speak for, are business owners, and they know how much time it takes to make a business work now. They are fully aware of, painfully aware that they can work 3 times as hard to make the same amount of money as they did 2.5 years ago. These business owners also recognize the amount of risk that they take every day and that they can lose everything at any moment. They are fully aware of the time, the dedication that is required to see success in their businesses, and how tremendously draining and demanding their businesses are. And quite frankly, they are wondering how the job of president seems to have so much free time. May I say that you greatly misunderstand and misrepresent the American public. However, for your own success, I hope you will consider these Americans who have not yet been represented in your future public speaking moments. So now, May I make a few suggestions of what these Americans who do watch Treasury Options may say in relationship to our national economic dilemma? You have noted that you believe they want to continue to invest in green energy, education, and infrastructure, and other programs. Once again, that is simply not what I am hearing from the American people that I know. When I hear them talking, they are offering concrete suggestions, change we can believe in. And here are just a few. First, their home and retirement accounts are now down to 1999 levels. Put all government spending back to 1999 levels immediately. As you do this, have each program carefully evaluated with these two questions. Number one, has the program or agency fulfilled the purpose for which it was begun? And number two, is the country and our individual Americans measurably better off because of this government agency or program? If it cannot pass the two-question test, either reduce its budget or defund the program altogether. Number two, fire up the engine of our national economy by giving every tax incentive and streamlined permit process for anyone who will develop our natural resources, with the purpose of making us energy independent within 10 years. And not only independent, but becoming a supplier rather than a customer for fuel for the world. Develop any program necessary, any reasonable incentive to move businesses back to America from overseas. In relation to that, make a commitment to utilize American products for government use. Give parents back the responsibility of feeding and clothing and taking care of their children. We are not so naive as to expect equal results. All people are individuals, gifts are individual, home backgrounds individual, work ethic individual, intelligence and skill individual. But what we hope to have is our constitutional right to pursue happiness on our own level without government tampering in our lives. Number 5, set up a reward system in the House of Representatives that for every $100,000 that a congressman eliminates from our budget, they will receive an additional $1,000 as a raise in the month that they accomplish the cuts in the budget. Put this reward system into every single government agency and office. Any employee able to identify waste will be rewarded with income. The tangible reward system will result with amazing savings. So, now, may I make a request that the next time that you preface a statement with, "The American people want," or "The public wants," please keep these people that I know in mind, because this great country is just full of them.